Now, across Texas, the issue is.
I'm Rudy Koski in Austin.
I'm Stephen Dial in Dallas.
And I'm Greg Groogan in Houston, and this is Texas, the issue is. For much of the last year, incumbent United States Senator Ted Cruz has waged pretty much all-out political warfare against Democratic challenger Colin Allred in a bid to keep his seat. I spoke one-on-one with the two-term Republican who delivered a closing argument for re-election. What makes you believe Democrats want to grant immediate amnesty and voting rights to what could be 20 million illegal immigrants?
Yeah, because they've been explicit that that's what they want. Chuck Schumer right now has 49 votes to end the filibuster. The filibuster is the requirement that you need 60 votes to take up major legislation. Colin Allred has promised to be the 50th vote, the final vote he needs. They would add D.C. and Puerto Rico as two new states. They would do that because they believe that would give them 4 new Democrat senators, and they would do that so Democrats would never again lose the Senate. They would grant immediate voting rights to every illegal alien in the country. There's 20 to 30 million nationally. Texas alone has 2 to 3 million. Greg, if they did that, Texas would immediately turn blue. Texas would become California, and it would be instantaneous. Here's what I hope. I hope we have a phenomenal election. I hope we have an election where Donald Trump is reelected, we win a Republican Senate and a Republican House. And if that happens, I got to tell you, the upside is huge. If we have that kind of election, we will secure the border. And by the way, it won't take 6 months or a year. We'll do it in January and February. I can be confident about that because last time Trump was president, I worked hand in hand with him and we achieved historic success. We achieved the lowest rate of illegal immigration. So if we win, we'll see tax cuts, we'll see the border secure, we'll see an end to the regulatory assault on small businesses and oil and gas and jobs in Texas.
A majority of Texans also support exceptions to the abortion ban when it comes to rape and incest.
Right.
I know you've been asked this before.
Yeah.
I'm asking you again, is there a reason you haven't taken a position on this?
Well, I have taken a position on it. What I've said is that I agree with the Supreme Court. The decision of what the appropriate rules are in Texas should be made by the state legislature in Austin and should be made by the governor. And nobody should be surprised that Texas answers that differently than California does. The rules on abortion in Texas are made in the state legislature in Austin. I'm not in the state legislature. The law is signed by the governor. I'm not the governor. By the way, neither is he. Neither of us get a vote on this.
We also asked the senator to clear the air on the persistent issue of his brief evacuation to Cancun during the 2021 winter storm, referenced multiple times by Allred in the debate.
He went to Cancun.
Is there anything you want to say about that you wanted to say then, but your discipline kept you from?
Yes, it is true that day I was acting as a dad in addition to being a senator, and I took my children somewhere where they could be warm, and then I spent one day there and turned around and came back to Texas. I'll tell you what, Greg, I am more than happy to put my record for 12 years of fighting for Texans and delivering for Texans side by side with Colin Allred's record. In Texas, we have low taxes, low regulations, small businesses do great, and we have lots of jobs. I think this race is all about keeping Texas, Texas.
On the other side of this race is Dallas Congressman Colin Allred. He told me that voters in polls doubted him when he eventually flipped a red seat blue, and he thinks he can do it statewide.
He's responsible for this abortion ban that we have here in Texas, and that's what he doesn't want to talk about. So he's trying to distract folks. But I think Texans are smarter than that, and I think they know what he's doing.
Do you think your message is resonating with Texas voters?
Well, I think so. And I think what Texans are seeing is that Ted Cruz is too small for our state. I think folks saw that at the debate. His vision for our state is too small. He's somebody who is mostly interested in himself. That's how you go to Cancun when folks need you most.
What kind of man does?
One of the University of Houston polls, I looked at the top priority issues for Texas voters. Transgender athletes is not in the top 10, I don't believe. But that's all the ads that voters are seeing and hearing. Do you think that could hurt you, them having that negative image of you, whether it's true or not?
Well, I don't think you have to be a former NFL linebacker to recognize a Hail Mary, which is, as I said at the debate, this is just an attempt by Ted Cruz to distract from the fact that for 12 years, he's done nothing. In fact, he's done worse than nothing. He's prevented things from happening. If you think that we should secure the border, well, I did. I tried to pass a bill for $20 billion to do that. Ted Cruz said no. He's somebody who has taken down every effort that we make to try and fix our broken immigration system.
Do you think the polls are taking it into account, the people who are showing up to vote in these long lines?
What I know is that when I ran for Congress in 2018, I don't think there was ever a single poll that showed me leading against Pete Sessions, and I beat him by nearly 7 points. So to me, the most important poll is going to be on Election Day when they start announcing the vote totals.
What's the headline on Texas newspapers November 6th?
Ted Cruz goes down, and I think it's going to be something that won't be a win for me or for a party. I think it'll be a win for our state, because we don't have to have a senator who abandons us when we need him most. We can have one who wants to go to work for you every single day.
All right, my word is just simply close. Rudy, what about you?
Stephen, I think I'll go with Fumblerooski.
All right, Greg, what about you?
Stephen, I'm going to go with narrow.
All right, the Fox Texas Trio will discuss on the other side of this break. Fox Texas Trio is back. Early voting turnout was very strong in Texas for both weeks in a lot of different pockets of the state. Rudy, what does the early turnout say to you about this race?
You know, Stephen, the analysis that I've seen seems to attribute the big bump in early voting to Republicans who apparently have learned the lesson from 2020 when they got outplayed by Democrats and didn't show up early, and, you know, bad things happen for the GOP. Donald Trump this time has embraced the idea of early voting, telling his supporters to do it instead of demonizing early voting like he did 4 years ago. So I think the wild card in this race, though, will be the youth vote on Election Day. And if conservative Latinos vote in South Texas, if they start showing up, those really are going to be the two things I'm watching.
I agree. I think if the young people show up, that may can throw things off. What do you think, Greg?
Stephen, here's what I think is most significant. Female early voter turnout is a mirror image of 2020 at 52%. That has got to be a huge disappointment for Team Allred, which spent tens of millions of dollars trying to inspire Texas women of all persuasions to vote for a restoration of abortion rights. The analysis from Ryan Data and Research also found the number of younger voters, 18 to 29, voting early has actually dropped to 11% from 13% 4 years ago, also disappointing for Democrats. And finally, Rice political analyst Mark Jones says early vote turnout among Texas African Americans is similar to 2020, despite having Kamala Harris and Allred topping the ticket here. Finally, Vegas odds makers who have no dog in this hunt have Cruz winning this race with the over-under at plus or minus 4. None of that bodes well for a Democratic victory statewide. Bottom line, Allred desperately needs young folks and black folks in particular to come out in force on Election Day.
Beto O'Rourke lost this race by 3 points. If Allred were to lose by 3 or fewer, is there a moral victory in this, Rudy?
No! You know, there's no crying in baseball unless you're the Yankees, and no moral victory in politics. It's all or nothing, right? Which is why Allred has been working so hard to distract from his own voting record, which is why my word was Fumblerooski, some good old-fashioned political sleight of hand there. You know, he's having to do that to try to distract, again, from his voting record, which he's getting hammered on right now and all the ads. Stephen?
Greg, you have the last word.
All right, my friend Gary Pollan calls Texas fool's gold for Democrats because they keep spending hundreds of millions here trying to crack the Republicans' 3 decades of dominance, so far without success. Bottom line, close only counts and horseshoes and hand grenades.
That's all the time we have. To see this episode or any of our past ones, go to our station YouTube channel.
And keep the conversation going on social media.
Be sure to catch our hour-long election special you can watch on Fox Local and on our other digital platforms. We'll see you after the votes are counted for the next Texas The Issue Is.